Well, hello and welcome to Frame.io Live. My name is Ryan. I'm an enterprise customer success manager based out of New York City. And today I am going to be taking you through Get to Know Frame.io version 4. I have a really great agenda for you today, which we will get to in just a moment. But before we get started, a couple things I would like to highlight. The first, we are completely live, and I would love to make sure that this is a beneficial session for you where you could come, ask questions, learn, and engage with me as I'm going through our content for today. So feel free to find that comment section. Let me know where you're tuning in from and anything you would like to get out of today's session. Any questions that come up, I will put them up on the screen and we can certainly review them together. I will get to them as quickly as I can over the course of today's session. This is also a recorded session, so if you did click sign up today, you will receive this as a recording after we are through. Additionally, it will be available on our YouTube page. I do lead this session every single week, so I'll be back here again next week if you wanted to join again or have other members of your team join as well. I will also be using that comment section to drop in the chat a couple of support articles. We also have a blog where our product team makes posts with recent updates. I'll also drop those there as well, a couple of pro tips just to help get you started. But no matter where you are on your Frame.io journey, maybe you're brand new to Frame, or maybe you recently upgraded your account to version 4, we're going to do a complete end-to-end overview today. So we're going to start by chatting a little bit about some of the settings of the account, talk about user management. Of course, we'll talk about organization, how you can actually create and manage your workspace. We'll also chat about organizations such as moving content around, uploading and downloading content in and out of Frame. We'll also chat about the entire collaboration and review process, including going through leaving comments together, organizing content using metadata and tagging. I'll highlight a couple of our new features and then we'll wrap up with some external sharing. I know that maybe that sounds like a daunting agenda. However, I'm here to guide you through it. And of course, over the course of today's session, please ask questions. I want to make sure, again, that this is beneficial for you. Getting started, I did want to drop in the chat an article that is just called Getting Started. So whether you're brand new to Frame or like I mentioned, if you recently upgraded, hope that this is a helpful place just to categorize a couple of concepts that we'll be chatting about today and reference at a later date. We also have a blog that, like I mentioned, is updated by our product teams. We have a ton of new releases that are always coming down the pipeline, some of them small, some a little bit more major. So I did just drop in the chat now an article that leads to our blog post specifically for what was announced at NAB in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago. We'll go through a couple of those new features today, one of which being transcriptions, another of which being text markups. I'll outline how you can leverage this to the best of your ability within your account. The last article that I want to drop before we hop in is an e-learning hub that has recently been created and developed by our team. This is a great place just to get some high-level overview, quick little videos that you could share with your team as well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. You're welcome to follow along with me. We are completely web-based. We do have a couple of external ways that you can connect to Frame, but for the most part, you will access your Frame.io account here. I'm just under app.frame.io. If you're an account owner, maybe you're logging in for the first time, that's where you'll be able to access your account. If you're a user or a member, maybe you received an email invite, that's where you're actually able to access your instance of Frame.io. We do have an integrated panel for Premiere. There were some updates that were recently made for 25.2 for exporting, sharing, and responding to feedback all within the timeline. We do have an external app as well for transfer. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then we do have an integration coming later in the year with After Effects, but a whole bunch of ways that you can connect multiple tools to Frame.io, just making it even more powerful for review and collaboration. Starting with workspaces, you're looking here at my account. Over on the left-hand side, I have a couple of workspaces here. This is the highest level of organization that exists within your account. If you're an enterprise customer, you can create as many workspaces as you would like. I've seen accounts organize these workspaces based on clients, groupings of clients, a specific series. Maybe you're working on a television series, you could put in different episodic workspaces. Really, the benefit here being you could stay organized, so you can create then projects within those workspaces. Kind of think of it like a Russian nesting doll, if you will. Within these workspaces, you can create projects, and then within projects, you can create folders. The benefit to this being that you can control which users have access to which space. So for example, let's say I had a marketing team that's going to be working on collateral for social media. I only want them to see content that's in here. that's possible. Or if I wanted somebody to be able to see every single workspace, you certainly can enable that as well. But before we go further, I do want to just describe exactly who is who, what are the different members that exist within Frame, and how can I leverage them to the best of my ability. So right now, I'm an account owner, which means I have access to every single workspace. I also have access to every single project within those workspaces. I also have the ability to adjust the global settings within my account. We'll do that together. Directly beneath the account owner is the content admin. This user has access across all workspaces and content, but they don't actually have access to control the settings, just the users within that space. You can add as many content admins as you would like. So maybe you have some admins that are working within your space that want to control that. That's also a possibility. But then the majority of your account will be occupied by members. These members have general access to account information with the ability to collaborate within the workspaces or projects that they're assigned to. For example, if I wanted to go here within my marketing workspace, I wanted to invite users in. I'm going to scroll all the way over to the right hand side. I have a couple of members that are already a part of my space here, but I can delineate between full access, edit and share, edit only, comment only, or view only. All of these users do occupy a license because they are by some means within your account uploading content and also have a couple of member specific permissions such as notifications. However, it is important to ask, do I actually need somebody to have a license? Because there is an additional user that's called a reviewer. A reviewer never occupies a seat. That's anybody that you just want to share content with external to the account. They won't actually have a sign in, but they'll be able to view, comment, annotate on assets that you share with them. So before you actually welcome in a user, I would strongly encourage that you ask yourself, what does this user actually need to do? I'm going to share now an article that outlines user management with a little bit more specificity. There's a great flow chart in there, in addition to nailing it down based on exactly what these members can do. Hopefully, that's a helpful place to get started. Before we create projects and actually go through some review and collaboration together, I do want to go through the account settings just so I can show you what individual users have the access to adjust, and also maybe you're a content admin, what you have the ability to adjust from a global perspective. I'm going down to the bottom left-hand corner under account settings. If I'm a part of multiple accounts, I'll see those listed here, similar to a Slack workspace, for example, where maybe you have multiple different accounts, you could use the same sign-in. But we're going to go right here to our account settings. Every user will be able to adjust their profile settings where they could put in at least their name and their photo and adjust their login details if desired. I would encourage you to have your team at least put in their name and their photo. That will match whatever comments they leave within Frame. Every user can also adjust their notifications right here under this notifications tab. Starting with emails, we notice that a lot of actions occur within Frame.io. And if you received an email anytime an action occurred, your email inbox would be flooded with notifications for comments or asset uploads. So you can actually determine if you want assets or emails to come at a frequency ranging anywhere from 5 minutes down to daily. That will just give you a highlight, a summary of every action within your account. Users can also adjust if they want to receive notifications for general comments, replies, or app mentions. Over here on the right, there's the option to determine if those users want their notifications to occur in the app, via email, or via push notification for mobile. The same thing goes for assets. You can determine for asset uploads, status updates, or if content is assigned. You can adjust either in-app, email, or push notification. You can turn all of them on or off, up to you. Usage gives you a high-level overview of all of the usage within your account: members, storage, projects, and workspaces. However, the plan and the billing tabs here do enable you to change your usage or your billing. Maybe you want to increase the amount of storage or change your plan type. If you're not on an enterprise plan, you could do that using these tabs. I find that any account owners or admins use the users, groups, and workspaces tabs pretty frequently. This is where you can manage users within your account, and you can also add in additional users. So you can see here, I have a couple of users that are already welcomed into my account. I can see from this tab their last active date, and I can sort by that last active date. I could use this to indicate maybe my colleague Luke can be removed from the account. Luke hasn't been active for 3 months within my space. I also can filter these users so I can determine which users are a part of which workspace or projects. I also can even delineate based on account role. Over here on the right-hand side is where I can add in these new users. I then can determine if I want them to be just a member, where then I can determine that when I actually add them into the workspace. Or I can also enable these users to be content admins. Remember, I can add as many admins as I would like within my space. So let's say I want to invite in my colleague April. I'm just going to type in April's email address here. I could even add a note. I'm saying here, please accept this invite to our workspace. Once this email goes out, April can then click on it and then we'll be prompted to create a login. Or if you're part of an enterprise plan, we can enable SSO or multi-factor authentication for you. A benefit here is you can also use the multi-select tool to either add users or remove them. This additional tab for groups can be created in the instance that you actually need to create maybe the same group of users that are going to be welcomed into every single workspace or project. So let's say I have a group of editors that I know I'm always going to invite into projects. I can go ahead and create this and call them editors. And then I can select which users I'd say want to be a part of this space by adding members. So let's say April, Jacob, and Luke. I know I'm going to add every single time. This just saves you a little bit of energy, just knowing that you could add in a group of users as opposed to typing in their individual email addresses. Christian asked, do I pay for a new user within my workspace or do they? Whoever the billing details information is under is who will get billed, Christian. So if you're on a pro or one of our teams plans, they do have a user limit, but you're paying based on each of those individual users once they're actually added into the space. Good question. Workspaces. This is where you can manage and create workspaces. If you're an enterprise customer, like I mentioned, you can create as many as you would like. So if you have a large quantity of workspaces, you can use this filtered option to determine which users are a part of that space. You also can create a new workspace. Let's make one now. I'm just going to call this one Summer Project. Dreaming of warmer weather here in New York City. So we're thinking to the summer for a marketing campaign we're going to work on. We'll use this workspace in just a moment to actually upload content. From this workspaces tab, though, I also can get a high level overview of the amount of storage that's being occupied and some actions that have occurred within that workspace. So my Ryan's team workspace, for example, by clicking on it, I can see which members and which projects occupy that workspace. I hope you're sensing a theme here. This projects tab will enable me to, again, get a high level overview of all of the projects within my account. Similarly, I can sort based on the storage, the creation date, and filter based on users, workspaces, current active, inactive, or recently deleted projects. This is where you can also recover any deleted projects as well. Branding. I can adjust the name and the title of my account, but this branding type down here specifically is for shares. I've adjusted this one to be the same colors as Frame.io, so it's purple, black, and white. I want the same type of branding to occur anytime I share out content externally to my account. So I have created this here within the settings, knowing that when a user then shares out some type of link, it will match this individual branding. I'll also showcase how you can add a logo and a header image to any external links that are shared out in just a moment as well. I want to wrap up with this content security tab. Starting with secure sharing settings, this applies to all account types. You can require a passphrase on public shares. You also can set a default expiration date. This is, again, global account settings that are adjusted here. However, you can adjust this at the time of external sharing for each individual link. This is just, again, for every single link that goes out. You can also allow shared download. So do you want users to be able to download the content you share with them? Secure share settings. These are just for our enterprise customers, but you can enable authorized domains, meaning only users with that specific domain can access the content you share. So for example, at adobe.com, only users with that email address can access my content. I'm going to shut this off for now. I also can require secure shares. This just means that a user needs to sign into a Frame.io account before they can view the content that I've shared with them. This is a free Frame.io account. It's just an additional security feature that requires a login prior to viewing content, different from a public link that can be copied and pasted and shared further. I can make this a default, and I can determine if I want a default to be public or secure sharing. Watermark. Depends on your account type, but there's a difference between the static watermark or a more dynamic watermark. I can enable this for internal assets or also for external shares. You can see here that I already have a template for a watermark, but let's create a new one together. If you're on one of our pro or our teams plans, you can add a template name and custom text. But if you're on an enterprise plan, you can add a little bit more dynamic text, such as a name, email, IP address of the user, also any date and time, and creator text. You also can adjust the size of the text, the color, and enable it to scroll. You can move this text-based watermark around on the screen. All of these options are available, again, within the settings. I'm going to go up here to the top left corner and click home to get back over here to my main home page, where then I can see this new workspace that I created, my summer project, and again, all of these different projects that exist within my space. There's a couple of different ways that I can manage this main home page. I can view it in thumbnail or list format. I also have the option to, let me go back here. I also have the option to filter based on active or inactive projects. So let's say I'm done with this social media project within my marketing workspace. I can click on these three dots and make it inactive. This project is still going to occupy space within my account, but it just means that I could then filter it out if it's not as relevant to what I'm currently working on. I still want to keep it within my account. I want to maintain all the comments and links that have been shared out. I'm not ready to delete it, but we could just simply hide it for the time being. I can also sort my content based on name or any additional sorting features such as the date created or the status. Creating a project is simple just by creating a new project here. I then can either create my own project. Let's call this one casting photos. Or I can leverage one of these different templates that our team has created. These are specific for different workflows such as digital video production, location scouting. By scrolling down, you can see there's a whole bunch: commercial photography, professional training. By clicking into this template, you can also see that there's a couple of fields that are already created and folders, including sample content. If you're brand new to Frame.io, I would encourage you to play around with some of this sample content. It's a great way to familiarize yourself with a couple of specific workflows, depending on what your specific workflow looks like. Every account looks a little bit different. I frequently receive a question of, I feel like we're not using Frame to its highest capacity. What are some ways that you recommend that we do that? This is a great way to just see what some other accounts are doing and ways to be able to test some of these features. However, I want to actually create my own custom project starting from scratch. So I'm going to click on this blank option. I don't want to make it restricted, but there is an option to only restrict a project so individuals who are invited have access, an additional layer of security. So I'm creating a new project. It's automatically going to open up this project, but I want to go home first and I want to highlight where this project now sits within this workspace. So my summer project is the name of the workspace, and casting photos lives within that workspace. However, users don't actually have access to it yet. As you can see over here on the right-hand side, I still have to invite in these users. Let's invite in this editors group though, which will give every single one of the users within that group full access to every single project that I create within this workspace. Additionally, I can just invite users at the project level. By giving a user access here, they'll automatically have access to every single project within that workspace. Please let me know if you have questions about projects, user roles, and user management within this workspace. That will certainly help give you a platform to stand on when you actually invite in users. I'm going to transition now to opening up this project and uploading content, and then we'll actually go through a little bit of a tour so I can show you how you can adjust appearance and also leverage some of the new panels that now exist within Frame.io v4. Any questions though, please drop them in the chat before I proceed. Now that I've created a project, I have an empty sandbox for me to get to work. From here, I can either drag and drop assets into my account. I can use this big glaring upload tab right here in the middle of my screen, or I could go over here to the top right corner and click the plus button where I can either create a new folder, a restricted folder, or upload content. Let's click upload here and just select some content from my desktop. I want to leverage this folder here that says casting photos. Let's go ahead and open them up. From here, my account is going to automatically then upload this and transcode it. I do want to draw your attention over here to the left-hand side where you can see an uploads tab where I can actually then remove any uploads or see a full audit trail of content that I had already uploaded. By clicking on this uploads tab, I also can go directly to that location within my project where I uploaded content. I uploaded a couple of PNG files here. These are casting photos, some headshots, but anytime I upload content to Frame, we always keep the original. But let's say you uploaded a couple of video files too. You'll always have access to that original, but we do transcode and create lightweight web and mobile friendly proxy versions of your content. So you can play it back from anywhere you have access to Frame. Maybe you're on the go, you're on set, you're at the airport. You can certainly adjust the different proxy versions to have access at a later time. We will also maintain the folder structure of any content that you upload. So maybe you have multiple folders that exist, you're uploading from a server, from your desktop. You can certainly upload that here. Organizing content is also rather simple. I can just do a two-finger click. I can create a new folder or a restricted folder. Restricted folders mean that I can select exactly which members I want to be a part of that space. Or just by creating a new folder, I can then organize content. By selecting a couple of these headshots here, I then can either download them, copy, move, or duplicate. Let's say I just want to move these directly over into this new untitled folder. I can move that content around, or alternatively, I can move it to a different project entirely. By two-finger clicking on any asset, you do get this pop-up here where you can create a share link to share it out externally. You can add it to an existing share link. You could download it. You could just copy the asset URL, or of course, do any of these actions of movements that I just described. Let's click home, and I do want to spend some time in this short edits marketing workspace under this project. This project specifically is an energy drink campaign that our teams have created. Let me show you one of the final deliverables. This is obviously a final project here, but we're going to be using these assets together over the course of today. So this is what the final project looks like, but let's go through, or let's watch this first, and then we'll go through some commenting. All right, a pretty sweet short edit. That looks great. But let's rewind. Let's go all the way back to our process. We're just getting started. Where do we begin? Taking a peek at your Frame.io account. There's a couple of different panels. This is a way that I would like for you to think about your account. This panel right here, this main panel right here, and then up in the top right corner, you can break out additional panels. So you can adjust your own view. Let's say that you want to view all of this tree asset here so you can see all of the different folders and assets that exist within. You also want to see your collections and any share links. I'll explain those in just a moment. But then this main page, you can see all of your assets. You can also see this asset broken out a little bit larger, and you can see any comments. So you have the ability to adjust these panels as you see fit. Up here in the top, you also can adjust the layout, card size, aspect ratio, and you can even flatten the folder to view all of the content within your account at once. Totally up to you how you want to view your content in either list or thumbnail format, adjusting the card size or the aspect ratio. This option here for fields pertains to metadata tagging. I'll get to that in just a moment. And of course, you can sort based on any number of these different metadata fields, depending on how you want to see your content laid out. I do want to drop in the chat now an article around restricted folders. This is a new feature that was just released this past week. I know that I mentioned that briefly, but wanted to at least highlight that in the form of one of our support articles. I'm going to open up this footage document. You can actually see here that there's a whole bunch of footage that was used in our final deliverable. We have this slow-mo shot of running up the stairs. That was part of our quick cut that we're going to send to social media. We also have these shots here of our runner who is taking an ice bath. We're going to use an array of different assets today. These are all video assets, but we also are going to go through some PDFs. I'll also showcase some transcription. However, I do want to just highlight a couple of features that will make your life significantly easier. The first being something called version stacking. These two assets here, let's say that we were working on an edit. We have version 1 and version 2. We're trying to determine which one we like better, or maybe we just want to keep them together. There is a wonderful feature called version stacking where I could take one feature, drop it over the next, and it's going to create a stack of these features, essentially just keeping them together in one location. You can see that there's a V2 that indicates that there's two different versions within my version stack. From here, I could select either version 1 or version 2. Alternatively, I could compare these two versions side by side. So not only does it keep these assets together, but it enables me to A/B test between 1 and 2. A benefit being I can also share out this version stack to external users. Those users then have the ability to see all of the comments, any different stacks that we've completed, and also have at their fingertips every single different version. Also just eliminates confusion. I know we've all been guilty of having a really long email thread that says, which one's the final? And there's, an asset named final.final.final. This version stacking can certainly help mitigate some of that. Let's talk commenting and annotating. I'm going to open up this asset here of our runner. She's running around this corner. I love this ray of light coming in. We're going to leave a couple of different comments together as part of this commenting and annotating, both for internal and external. There's a whole bunch of different types of comments that you could leave within Frame. This is a rather dynamic way that you can interact with your team and interact with any external stakeholders. There's the ability to leave just a single comment, a range-based comment, an app mention, an annotation, a hashtag, an anchored comment, and now you can upload files to a comment itself as well. So lots you could do here. We call this the player page. From here, you can adjust either the play pause, you also can loop, you can change the playback speed or the audio. There's also the option down here to change your time format from frame, standard, or time code. Down here on the right, underneath the settings, you can adjust the quality. So these are the different proxy versions that I was mentioning earlier. You could also add in a guide if you wanted to see how maybe something would look in a social media edit. You also have the option to set a frame as a thumbnail or download as a still. I can set a frame as a thumbnail. This is then what will show up on that home page that I could scrub between. Over here on the right is then where I can view any comments that I've left for my team. We'll go through this after we leave a couple of comments together. I'm just going to leave a single base comment over here on the right-hand side at a place on my timeline. Maybe I say I like this shot. Simple comment here, but I could click on it and it's going to take me directly to this location in the timeline. By hovering over this comment, I also can see which user left that comment. And by clicking on it, it's also going to take me over here to this spot. I don't know if you noticed, but when I started typing over here on my comment section, it automatically paused the video, which is super helpful when you're trying to get specific about where you want to leave a comment. But speaking of specific, I also can leave a range-based comment here by just dragging and dropping this bracketed section. I can indicate also by holding down the shift key. I can get really precise where I want to leave this comment for. Let's say that I really like this one particular part of this shot that we wanted to use in that quick cut edit. I can leave a comment just to our editor. Maybe I want to leave an at mention at Luke. Can we please use just this section for a quick edit? So I'm using two different types of comments together. An at mention to Luke, who is a member. I can at mention Luke because Luke is occupying a license. And I can also leave this range-based comment together. So by clicking send and by clicking on it, it's also going to leave this then full range where I'm able to see this is the exact time code that I wanted this comment for. Okay. I also have the ability to leave an annotation. So let's say I really like these rays of light that are coming through. I can use this paintbrush option down here, which will reveal a number of different types of annotations I can make. An arrow, a line, a box. I also can draw freehand, which I will save you all from, but I can then select the color here for what I want. Let's use pink and draw an arrow. I like these rays of light. Let's say that we want to add a couple of additional ones. I'm just going to draw a couple arrows here, and I'm going to also leave a comment here and say, can we edit in some additional lens flare? And I'm going to leave a hashtag as well. Let's do VFX. I know our VFX team is going to be doing this, but that essentially will make this a keyword that can be searched for at a later date. I'm going to hit enter and let's leave that comment. Again, by clicking on this comment, it's also going to reveal any annotations that are associated. All right. I also have the ability to leave an anchored comment, which is this option right down here, just to the left of my settings. I've especially seen this used for PDF documents or JPEGs, but I can get hyper specific for a location. So let's leave an anchored comment maybe right up here. And let's attach a voiceover script. I know that maybe we want to use this in some secondary edit where we know that our runner is going to be maybe leaving some type of voiceover, inspirational quotes, or maybe talking a little bit about her journey. I can then add a comment here for our voiceover script. Say, here is a script for the voiceover. An additional feature I'd like to show you is you can limit either public comments or internal. Internal comments means that only members can see that. An additional benefit of having a member as part of a space is that they can see restricted content. So maybe I don't want any external stakeholders to see this script yet. Making it internal is a great way to limit which users can see what content. All right. So I know that I left a couple of different comments here. I also can attach just in PDF to the comment section as well. Maybe I want to mention somebody to take a peek at it. Maybe I want to mention Jacob. Can you review this, please? I can then leave that comment as well. This comment section, though, is rather dynamic. I can reply directly back to a comment within Frame. So let's say that I like this shot. I can reply back and say, I agree. I know that I'm the same user, but of course, we're using the assumption that there's some other user who's commenting back. Additionally, users can mark a comment as complete. So you can use this comment section like a checklist. There's also the ability here to sort your comments based on public or internal. You also can filter out based on annotations, attachments completed. You even can determine which person had left comments. So maybe I want to filter it out to see only comments that Jacob had left. I can certainly do so. I also can search for these hashtags VFX, so I can filter out any comments that do not have that VFX hashtag associated. Using these three dots, I then have the ability to copy these comments, so I could copy and paste them onto a different asset within my account, maybe into a version stack, for example. I also can export these comments to Final Cut, Media Composer, Premiere, Resolve. Additionally, I can print comments, which will open up a new tab with a full audit trail of comments that I had left with annotations and a thumbnail on the left. A great way to be able to share with your stakeholders what you had completed and an audit trail of comments that had been replied to. Any questions about this comment section, please let me know. From here, I could share out this feature externally. So I'm done with my comments. I could share it out, or I could do that back at my homepage. We'll go through sharing here in just a moment. I do want to highlight, though, a new feature for text-based comments. So I'm going to go back here to my short edits, and I want to open up one of our PDFs. I now have the ability to use some text-based editing directly to a PDF or a Word document. Similar to those anchored comments, that section right down here is for text suggestions. So I can select text in any document to add content and especially use this to draw attention to a specific text. I also have the ability to search within a document to find information just by doing like a Command F search. Like if I wanted to search for the word information, you can see here it's going to highlight that specifically within my text. But I can also add in this suggested text option by clicking on this right down here. So this is a different type of commenting. So this right here is for wholesale information sheet. That's kind of a boring name. Let's change it. Maybe we want to replace the wholesale information with updated content. Again, I can select this as either a public or an internal comment. I also can make attachments or add emojis, but I can highlight, insert, suggest removal of text, or again, just use this replace option. Over here on the right, you're then going to see a comment, which is suggesting that I replace wholesale information with updated content sheet. Oops, it looks like there's a typo here too. Somebody is still living in the past, September 2023. Let's go ahead and highlight this here. Or maybe we just want to repurpose this document. Let's remove this so it can be evergreen. Similar to being able to print these comments, I can export an update here that has the updated suggestions associated with it all listed out here within this PDF. Hmm. When it comes to commenting and annotating, one additional feature that I want to show you before we talk about fields and metadata tagging is called transcriptions. So I just opened up a new folder that I have for some interviews. You can see here, these are kind of longer videos, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. I've already generated some transcriptions, but by opening up this asset down here in the same location where there was the ability to leave an anchored comment, also the ability to do some text-based editing, is to enable transcriptions, which is then going to transcribe this video in totality for both audio and video assets. So you can search for a specific text to find key moments or navigate by clicking any word in the transcript to jump to that spot in the timeline. So you can select text in the transcript to also generate a range-based comment for precise feedback. We know that she's a runner. I just search for the word runner. It's then going to take me directly to that location within this video that matches that word. I'm able to generate this transcription either down here or by highlighting that text or highlighting the assets rather and generating multiple transcriptions from multiple versions of text. Automated closed captions are already available for both web and iOS platform, and you can export transcripts in various formats, SRT and VTT, if that's important to you. There's also support for this closed captioning and for transcripts in 18 different languages. It does have to be in the current language that it's in. It won't auto-translate from one language to another. Super cool technology that leverages the same transcriptions as it does within Premiere. Super thrilled about transcriptions. But let's say that I wanted to generate transcriptions for these three. I could just highlight it, and then down here in the bottom, you can see this option that says generate transcripts. I also can do the two-finger click and generate transcripts as well. I want to drop in the chat now an article around text markups and another about transcriptions. These are two of our brand new features. I would encourage you to play around with them. Just makes working so much easier, actually being able to comment, share, and search within assets. Cool. Let's transition to chatting a little bit about metadata fields and some of the ways that you can leverage this. We're going to talk about collections and then external sharing and then wrap up. So any questions, please let me know. But right up here in the top is where I am able to enable metadata fields or create new metadata fields. There's 32 out of the box. You can see here that I have 36 because I've created a couple of custom fields. These fields that are clicked on are then going to be revealed here within my project. Right now, metadata fields are just at the project level, so something to keep in mind. It will be coming later. It's on our roadmap for account-wide metadata. But by enabling these fields, it's going to show for every single asset that's associated with your account. For example, this final video that we watched earlier has the video status ready for release, the release platform, which is for Facebook, the release date, final asset is checked yes, there's no assignee. So let's say I don't want to use assignee anymore. I could shut that off. But now I have these metadata fields that I can sort, search, and create a collection based off of metadata fields that are dynamic and update as I update these fields. Creating a new metadata field is simple. I can just use this new field option and I can select what type of field I want to create. A single based, multiple text, date, rating, a person, ranging all the way down to long text. Let's use a single select option, and let's call this field legal approval. We're dealing with some logos here, so we want to make sure that our legal counsel can view it before we ship our final deliverable. Under single text, we can just do yes, maybe add another option for no. This is a pretty simple workflow that I'm showing you here, but hopefully this at least gets your brain flowing of some ways that you can leverage metadata tags. I've seen metadata tags used for, again, really simple purposes, maybe even to create a collection for a specific individual to review. But let's say I just want to use this option for legal approval is yes. I'm going to go ahead and add these in now. I want to show you a completed collection, and then let's create our own. So I just clicked on this collection for final assets. You can see this looks really nice with a header. It also has final assets and a description. When you create a collection, you have the ability to determine, do I want to pull from every single asset within my account? That can be selected here. I can adjust the appearance, similar to what we did for our account earlier. How do I want users to view this content? I can select then the filters that I want to use. So for this collection, the filter is final edit is checked yes, and it is grouped based on a metadata field of release platform. So it's separated. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, really easy to look at and gives our stakeholders a high level overview. Creating a new collection. Let's say we want to create one based on legal approval. We know that we want to share this out to our legal counsel in the future. So let's call this one legal approval. There's no gavel emoji, so I'm going to use a hammer. But then I have the option up here in the top right to adjust my header, ranging from small, medium to large. Let's make it medium. And we can adjust our own background image. I can drag and drop my own image, or I could choose from a custom one. Let's just create a simple one here and apply. I'm going to add in a text description and say this is for legal approval. I then can select the source folder. Do I want it just from one folder or everything within my account? I then can change the appearance and the fields, but I want to filter now where I can search based on this metadata field that I added, which again was legal approval. Oops. Is yes. You can then see that this collection is going to be auto-created with all of the different assets that match that specific metadata field. So let's say I'm going over here to video assets, legal approval is checked. Yes. Same thing here. And maybe we also want to update this pitch deck that we just made a comment on. We want to make sure that we can run that through our teams as well. Let's go ahead and add legal approval is yes. And like magic, this collection is going to auto update based on those fields. The cool thing about the metadata collections that I really like is I can share out this collection for individuals to view. So now I can share this directly with my legal counsel, and it has all of this branding that I already added. Our gavel, our background header, even a description. When I generate a share link of any kind, the defaults that we sent in the settings already are going to apply. So I can adjust my link to be either public or secure shared. Remember, that means that the user has to sign into a Frame.io account before they could view it. I also can adjust the layout. So it can be in grid format, which we're viewing now, list format, or in real format, which is then going to generate this share link based on the custom branding that I had already applied in the settings. Let's keep this in grid though. I think it looks really nice with our branding that we just applied. I also can add a passphrase, link expiration date, and a watermark. I'm going to shut off the watermark for now, but I could add a passphrase which will require that anybody in my legal counsel enters the passphrase that I've set before they can view this content. I also can enable various permissions. Do I want users to actually be able to comment on these assets, download it, or see the version stacks that I've created? I could shut these all off if I just want to ship a final deliverable. Let's leave comments on though for now. I also can adjust one metadata field within any link that I share out. So let's leave this legal approval. By opening up this share, this is exactly what our legal teams are going to see when they review it. So they could open up this asset and they could see my comments that I'd left. They also can leave new comments associated. For any users that are accessing this link for the first time, Frame.io will encourage them to enter their name just so you know which users are actually leaving those comments. Okay. I can create new share links though in any way that I see fit, not just from a collection. Let's say I wanted to just share out this video review or these video interviews for review. I can certainly just create a share link based on this video interview. You can see down here, it's then going to auto-generate based on the name of that folder, where I then have the ability to customize the branding associated. However, I can also add additional content to that existing share link by dragging and dropping. So I could put it into this video interviews link, or I could also create a share link. I'm just going to call this one share link basic because I know that I want people to view stuff, but I don't know what I want them to view quite yet. I could even drag and drop content into that share link basic. I just created it kind of based off of nothing, but then have the ability to drag and drop content into it. This tab up here is also important for all share links. This is then where I have the ability to manage every single link that I've generated and shared out. By clicking it, I then can edit that share so I can add additional content to it, or I can shut it off. So, oops, I shared this preemptively. I don't want any users to see it anymore. I can do that too. Or I can multi-select any old shares and I can delete it or disable them in bulk. Right. A question from Griffin. Is there a way to make a video private within a folder or a collection? So when sharing with people who don't have access to the project, they will only see files in the share that we want them to see. Let me reread this. Is there a way to make a video private within a folder or a collection? So when sharing with people. So Griffin, it seems like you want to create some restricted content, but also want to be able to share out other content within a project. It depends on if you want to share or if the users are a member. One way to do this is by leveraging the restricted folders content. So within this footage folder here, if I create a new restricted folder, I can manage exactly which users have access. So by default, the only users that will have access to one of our restricted folders are the content owners and the content admins, but I could add an additional user. So let's say I only want my colleague Luke to be able to see this. I can add Luke in, so Luke will be the only one who's able to actually see that restricted folder. And myself, of course, because I am the account owner. However, there isn't the ability to share out this restricted folder yet, but that's coming in the future. So my recommendation would be to create some type of restricted folder, and then you can only give individuals access that you want to be able to have access. I hope that that answered your question. Cool. Any other questions? Keep it coming. A couple things that I want to show you before we wrap up for the day. The first, there is the option to contact our support team 24/7. So you could always click on this question mark, which is just down in the bottom left-hand corner of your account. These folks are actually live chatting right now. You can send a message. You also can access our knowledge guide here. You also can subscribe for status updates within Frame right here from this chat bubble. If you have feature requests, something you want to see, something you have concerns about, feel free to drop us a line. Our team reviews requests every single day, something we take very seriously as we're continuing to develop a product that you like and you enjoy. So please let us know, give us some feedback. There's also the option down here to search and see keyboard shortcuts. I'm a big fan of keyboard shortcuts, just makes working a little bit quicker and easier. You can see all of our keyboard shortcuts here, including ways that you can leverage that within the comment section to leave more effective comments. Christian has a workflow related question. My clients prefer a share link for each version of the video's cut instead of a version stack. I've just been sharing each version with its own cut. Does this make sense to do? This is a good question. It also gets a little tricky because if this is the way your clients prefer it, sometimes that's the way that it has to go. Yeah, I think it makes sense. You certainly could generate a share link based on each version of a video's cut as opposed to leveraging the version stack. I guess the benefit to the version stack that you could share with them is that they could see them side by side. So they could actually see an update of what has changed from one edit to the next. You certainly could speak with them and give them the benefit, maybe even share two separate links, one with a version stack and then one that doesn't have a version stack and see which one they prefer. I think it really just depends on your organizational structure. I like the version stacking. I know a lot of clients like version stacking, but I also know that sometimes change can be difficult too. Good question. I am going to drop in the chat now as well a link that will get you directly over to our help and our support page. This is our full knowledge base. That's why opening it up here. You can see that we have a rather robust knowledge base. Let me go ahead and open up a new tab. I'll show you. Whoop. So from here, you can even see how to upload, organize account settings, enterprise specific features, camera to cloud. There's a whole bunch of good resources here too. I would encourage you to check it out, bookmark it, save it. Yeah, Christian, share both. See what they like. I think sometimes with clients, especially, it's a matter of saying, "Hey, this way is a little bit easier," or "This gives you a high level overview." But you never know. Maybe they'll enjoy it. Cool. Any other questions? Let me know. I'll hang out here for another 30 seconds or so. If you have to hop, I'd like to say thank you for joining me. I hope that this was helpful. Again, you'll receive this as recorded via YouTube. I will be right back here again next week. But if you have any feedback, any thoughts, any ways to make this session a little bit better, please let me know. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions come through, but if you have them, drop our support team and a line. They also can reach out to me directly if I am associated with your account in any way, shape, or form. But on behalf of our entire team, thank you for joining me today for Get to Know Frame.io version 4. We love being a part of your creative process. We also love hearing your feedback about ways that we can improve. So please communicate with us. But thank you again. I hope that this was a beneficial session. And wherever you're tuning in from, I will see you next time. Take care.